Mic check, Jen. Checking Jen's mic, making sure you can hear me loud and clear. Mic check, Jen. Yep.
And then the sound bite, and then we'll walk down.
Slide that mic up a little bit.
Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check, 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 check.
Welcome to News 10 NBC's Live Decision 2025 coverage. Over the next 2 hours, we'll take you live across our area and break down the races you need to know about at the top of every half hour. It's now 9 o'clock, which means the polls are officially closed across New York State. Let's take a look at the most recent election turnout reports from Monroe County. More than 133,000 people have voted as of last check at 7 p.m., including early voting. That's more than a quarter of registered voters in the county. We should be getting another turnout report any minute now. We are keeping a close eye on the race for Rochester mayor tonight. Rochester is the largest city in our area and has been controlled by Democrats since the mid-70s. The last time a Republican won here was in 1969. This year, a Republican didn't reach the needed votes to get on the ballot. Incumbent Democrat Mayor Malik Evans is taking on conservative Louis Sabo. Evans was first elected in 2021 after a 4-year stint on Rochester City Council. Before that, he was a member of the Rochester School Board. Sabo has never held elected office. He graduated from RIT and is a small business owner in Rochester. News 10 NBC chief investigative reporter Berkeley Breen is tracking this race for us. He joins us live from the Hyatt Regency in downtown Rochester, where the Monroe County Democratic Party is holding its watch party. Burke, it doesn't look like a whole lot of people there just yet.
Yeah, we kind of have the room to ourselves here, Nikki. But what I thought I would do here at 9 o'clock, as we're still waiting for the votes to come in, is why don't we show you the perspective of the candidates that they'll have when they finally come into the room, probably around 10:30, 10:45. So let's show you their perspective. So we're going to walk up on the dais here. And as you look out, you'll be able to see just how few people are here. But this is the podium that they'll be speaking at and thanking their supporters. And they'll be looking out into this room. This place should be filled by about 10:30, 10:45. There you can see the media platforms in the back with the lights on. You know, I spoke to the mayor several times over the last couple of weeks, and one of the things he said was that when he first took office 4 years ago, gun violence was the single biggest thing he had to take care of. And in the last 4 years, it's gone down. Shootings and homicides down 60%. Now he thinks the next 4 years is going to be about giving opportunities for jobs and stability. But when we caught up with the mayor just after he voted, he said there's another issue that he and mayors of cities just like Rochester have to deal with now.
We're dealing with something that usually you don't deal with on a local level, and that is dealing with the federal government. They have made it very untenable for cities over the last 11 months. So we'll also obviously be dealing with whatever it is that they continue to throw at us.
The mayor voted with his son this morning. He says it's a tradition that goes back to his grandparents who took his mother and father when they voted. The mayor said he wants his son to see his dad's name on the ballot so that he can believe that if he wants to do this job in the future, that he should be able to do it. This, by the way, is the perspective of the supporters who'll be down here on the floor looking up at the podium later on tonight. And Nikki, I should say that perhaps one of the most exciting things that will happen tonight, with all due respect to the candidates, is that just before we got here, a mouse was found scurrying around this room. It was last seen going under the dais, under the podium.
Oh, no.
So we have, we're going to be on mouse alert tonight
Mouse alert,
to see
yeah.
if it comes out when all the candidates are up here.
Oh, I'm glad you just told everybody about it, too. And by the way, Burke, I remember growing up in Iowa, voting with my parents as well. And the Iowa caucuses, I won't even get into all that. Boy, was that exciting.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Thank you, Burke. Watch out for that mouse. Well, in Rochester, we're also tracking the race for City Council. 5 at-large seats are up for grabs with 9 candidates on the ballot. But you will notice some familiar faces are missing. Council members Willie Lightfoot Jr. and Kim Smith are not running for re-election. That means we'll see at least 2 new faces on City Council. The race is between Democrats Stanley Martin, Miguel Melendez Jr., who is the current president of Council, Mitch Gruber, Dr. LaShunda Leslie Smith, Kiara Smith, conservative Marcus Williams, Working Family Party members Victor Sanchez and Kelly Cheadle, and Green Party candidate David Sutliff Atias. In the town of Greece, a new town supervisor will be chosen. Incumbent Republican Bill Rylick is not on the ballot after 12 years in office. That time has included some controversy including a guilty plea from his former deputy town supervisor, Michelle Marini. On the ballot tonight, current Deputy Monroe County Executive Jeff McCann, a Democrat, and Republican Bill Murphy, who is currently on the Greecetown board. It is worth noting McCann is also cross-endorsed by the Conservative Party. Let's send things back out to the Hyatt Regency downtown. That's where we find Houston NBC investigative reporter Jennifer Lukey, who is tracking the race for Greecetown supervisor.
Yeah, Nikki, and apparently now I'm tracking the race for that mouse as well. But let's get to business tonight. As Burke just told you, this is where Democrats in Monroe County will spend their evening watching the returns come in. And Greece is the biggest suburb in our area. And for the first time in many years, there has been a very contested race as to who will lead it for the foreseeable future. As you mentioned, Jeff McCann is the Democrat in this race. He is here at the hotel, likely ready to watch those returns come in any second now. He is the current deputy county executive. He has been involved in politics his whole professional career. His opponent, Bill Murphy, is over at Eagle Vale Country Club with the Republican Party here in Monroe County. He was in law enforcement for many years before he retired and sat on the board for the town of Greece for the last 8 years. There has been a lot of spending in this race by Jeff McCann, particularly to let voters know who he is. If he is elected tonight, he'll be the first Democrat in some time to lead the town of Greece. So this is a race that we are following very closely. We know that the polls closed. We know as of 7 o'clock, about 25,000 people, 25% of people in the town of Greece got out the vote. Now, hopefully many more voted between 7 and 9 o'clock. We'll get those numbers shortly. But again, we are monitoring this race very closely because it impacts thousands of people in our viewing area who live in the most populated suburban town in Monroe County. Back to you, Nikki.
All right. Thank you, Jen. The only other race in Monroe County with a similar cross endorsement is the race for Monroe County Sheriff. Todd Baxter is also cross endorsed by the Democratic and Conservative parties. He's running unopposed. We are tracking another pair of town supervisor races in our area. In Pittsford, incumbent Republican Bill Smith Jr. is facing off against challenging Democrat town board member Kathy Koshikar. Smith was first elected as town supervisor in 2013. Koshikar has been on the town board for the last 5 years. In Irondequoit, only 2 candidates are on the ballot, but the incumbent is running as a write-in. Town Supervisor Andre Evans did not win the June primary after months of turmoil, including allegations of sexual harassment. That led to a censure by the town board, an investigation, and possible removal by the New York Appellate Division Court. Evans denies all allegations. Also on the ballot is current town board member John Perticone. He's been in that role since 2007. And Republican Anthony Costanza, a former town assessor in Irondequoit. We wanted to hear from voters today on how they feel about a possible clean slate at Town Hall. That is where we find Houston NBC's Tom Kowalski. So, Tom, what did you hear?
Yeah, well, Nikki, I was out here earlier in the day from about 3:30 or so to 6 o'clock. I spoke with quite a few voters out here. Now, the polls have since closed. And in fact, quite literally, maybe 8 minutes or so now. They literally did just close, and about 11,000 people did show up as of the 7 p.m. Voter update there. That's about 37 or 35% of the registered voters here in Irondequoit. Now, like you said, they are choosing who will be the next town supervisor for the 3rd largest town here in Monroe County. On the ticket, there's Democrat John Perticone and Republican Anthony Costanza. Incumbent supervisor Andre Evans is running a write-in campaign. Now, Costanza and Evans are both facing separate controversies. Costanza is accused of committing misconduct and violating town code when he allegedly undervalued his house value while working as the town assessor. He's pled not guilty to that. Evans is facing allegations of harassment and retaliation against employees of the town, which he denies. Here's what voters who I spoke with at the Irondequoit Public Library say they want to see change in the town of Irondequoit.
What changes would you like to see personally?
Lower taxes. I hope that Irondequoit continues to work towards diversity, equity, and inclusion. As someone who is born and raised in Irondequoit, I have definitely seen it change, and for better and for worse. So I just wanted to continue being an open space for people to come in, work, live, grow, things like that.
I don't know that there are any big changes that need to happen. I like living here.
Now, we'll let you, of course, know of all of the results here in Irondequoit and, of course, all of your local elections right here on WHEC.com. We'll continue to keep you updated all throughout the night as we learn those numbers. For now, though, live in Irondequoit, Tom Kowalski, News 10 NBC.
Thanks, Tom. Now to some of the races we are tracking outside Monroe County. In Ontario County, voters are selecting their next district attorney. This is a race we've been covering for months after Assistant District Attorney Jason McBride upset incumbent DA Jim Ritz in the June primary. The race was decided by just 103 votes. Ritz was first elected in 2017. He is still on the ballot as a conservative, but he retired back in October and intends to do the same if he is reelected. That would allow Governor Kathy Hochul to appoint someone until a special election is held. If Republican nominee McBride wins the election, he takes over the office amid a staffing crisis. Only 2 of around a dozen assistant district attorneys are expected to stay on. It also comes ahead of the murder trials of 7 people accused of killing transgender man Sam Nordquist. A race not in our area, but one that will have an impact on the entire nation. The race for New York City mayor. 7 names are on the ballot, but 3 rise to the top. Democrat Zohran Mamdani, former Governor Andrew Cuomo, who is on the ballot as an independent, and Republican Curtis Sliwa. Mamdani has led nearly every poll for weeks, but last night President Trump endorsed Cuomo. And look at the numbers. This is with 42% of the precincts reporting. Right now, Mamdani has 47% of the vote. Cuomo trailing slightly behind at 44%, and Sliwa way behind with 8% of the vote. Not even half of the precincts reporting here, so a lot to go yet tonight. By the way, as we were saying, Cuomo being endorsed by President Trump, also endorsed from current Mayor Eric Adams. The Trump administration is threatening to pull all federal funding from the city if Mamdani wins. So we'll be watching this race closely. That's all we have for now. For up-to-the-minute results, click on the Decision 2025 banner on WHEC.com. We'll also be live again in another, 18 minutes? 18 minutes. Yeah, for turnout totals, live reports, and results as they come in at 9:30. Thanks for watching. Welcome back to our live special coverage of the 2025 general election. It is now 9:30. The polls closed a half hour ago, which means we're starting to see our first results rolling in. We're still waiting on the 9 p.m. election turnout report from Monroe County, but here's a look at the 7 o'clock report. More than 133,000 people had voted at that time. That's more than a quarter of registered voters in the county. We should be getting another turnout report any minute now. Take a look at the numbers in the race for New York City mayor. With 38 precincts reporting, we have Democrat Zohran Mamdani leading with 50% of the vote. He's trailed by Andrew Cuomo, the former governor, with 41% running as an independent, and Republican Curtis Sliwa with just 8% of the vote. Mamdani has led nearly every poll for weeks, but last night President Trump endorsed Cuomo. That's along with an endorsement from current Mayor Eric Adams. The Trump administration is threatening to pull all federal funding from New York City if Mamdani wins. So we will be watching this race very closely this evening. Back here in Rochester, we're keeping a close eye on the race for mayor. Incumbent Democrat Mayor Malik Evans is taking on conservative Louis Sabo. Evans was first elected in 2021 after a 4-year stint on Rochester City Council. Before that, he was a member of the Rochester School Board. Sabo has never held elected office. He graduated from RIT and is a small business owner in Rochester. You can see we do not have any numbers in yet here for this race. In Rochester, we're also tracking the race for City Council. 5 at-large seats are up for grabs with 9 candidates on the ballot. But you will notice some familiar faces are missing. Council members Willie Lightfoot Jr. and Kim Smith are not running for re-election. That means we'll see at least 2 new faces on City Council. The race is between Democrats Stanley Martin, Miguel Melendez Jr., who is the current president of Council, LaShonda Leslie Smith, also a Democrat. We have Kiara Smith, Mitch Gruber, and Marcus Williams there running as a conservative. Working Family Party members Victor Sanchez and Kelly Cheadle, and Green Party candidate David Sutliff Atias. In the town of Greece, a new town supervisor will be chosen. Incumbent Republican Bill Rylick is not on the ballot after 12 years in office. Voters are choosing between current Deputy Monroe County Executive Jeff McCann, a Democrat, and Republican Bill Murphy, who is currently on the Greece Town Board. You can see 0% of precincts reporting at this hour. It is worth noting McCann is also cross-endorsed by the Conservative Party. Let's head back out to the Hyatt Regency downtown. That's where we find News 10 NBC investigative reporter Jennifer Lukey, who is tracking the race for Greece Town Supervisor.
Yeah, good evening, Nikki. This is where Democrats in Monroe County will spend their evening watching these returns come in. You can see the room is starting to fill up now with folks who are here to hopefully, in their opinion, celebrate with the candidates who are on the Democratic line. And that includes Jeff McCann, who is running for town supervisor in the town of Greece. It's worth noting, too, that we all experienced new voting machines for the first general election. And the thought was that those were going to be able to process returns a lot quicker. It's still 9:33 and we have not seen any returns yet. So as soon as we have those, we keep checking. We will, of course, let you know. Now, this race in Greece, this is the biggest suburb in Monroe County. And as you mentioned, Bill Rylick is term limited out, so he can no longer run. 2 fresh faces. And when I say fresh, I mean fresh on the ballot for this position, but not fresh in the town of Greece. Both are lifelong residents there. Bill Murphy, a former law enforcer who has been on the town council in Greece for the last 8 years. And Jeff McCann, as I mentioned, the current deputy county executive under Adam Bello. And he also has held a number of positions in local government. So we are back out here live at the Hyatt this evening. This is where Democrats will be. The Republican Party is at Eagleville Country Club. If it looks like Bill Murphy might be taking that race, we're going to go over there and talk to him. If not, we're going to hope to get Jeff McCann here at Democratic headquarters as soon as we start seeing some results. So we'll keep you posted from the Hyatt, Nikki.
All right. Thank you, Jen. While we're waiting for results here in Monroe County, big news out of New York City. Take a look. NBC News just called the race for New York City mayor. Democrat Zohran Mamdani has 50% of the vote. This is with 65% of precincts reporting. Andrew Cuomo trailing at 42. Christopher Sliwa, the Republican, with just 8%. Again, NBC News has called this race for Democrat Zohran Mamdani. We are tracking another pair of town supervisor races back here in our area. In Pittsford, incumbent Republican Bill Smith Jr. is facing off against challenging Democrat town board member Kathy Koshikar. Smith was first elected as town supervisor in 2013. Koshikar has been on the town board for the last 5 years. Again, still waiting for any results here in Monroe County. In Irondequoit, only 2 candidates are on the ballot, but the incumbent is running as a write-in. Town Supervisor Andre Evans did not win the June primary after months of turmoil, including allegations of sexual harassment. That led to a censure by the town board, an investigation, and possible removal by the New York Appellate Division Court. Evans denies all allegations. Also on the ballot is current town board member John Perticone. He's been in that role since 2007. And Republican Anthony Costanza, a former town assessor in Irondequoit. As you see here, still waiting on those Monroe County numbers. In Ontario County, voters are selecting their next district attorney. This is a race we've been covering for months here at News 10 NBC. After Assistant District Attorney Jason McBride upset incumbent DA Jim Ritz in the June primary. The race was decided by just 103 votes. Ritz was first elected in 2017. Now take a look. This is with 100% of the precincts reporting. Jason McBride appears to have won the Ontario County District Attorney race with 77% of the vote. He is a Republican, beating Jim Ritz, who retired with 23%. Now, Ritz, he stayed on the ballot even though he retired in October. He said if he was elected, he would have done the same. So it appears Republican nominee Jason McBride wins this election. That's all we have for now. For up-to-the-minute results, click on Decision 2025 on the banner right on the top of WAGC.com. We'll be live again coming up at 10 o'clock with your total turnouts, live reports, and results. Thanks for watching. Welcome back to our live special coverage of the 2025 general election. It is now 10 o'clock. The polls have been closed for an hour. First, a look at the race for Ontario County District Attorney. It appears voters have chosen Republican Jason McBride. He has 77% of the vote, trailed by incumbent Jim Ritz with just 23% of the vote. That's with 100% of precincts reporting. A reminder, these numbers are not official yet. This is a race we've been covering for months after McBride upset incumbent DA Ritz in the June primary. McBride was one of his assistant district attorneys. He takes over the office amid a staffing crisis. Only 2 of around a dozen assistant district attorneys are expected to stay on. It also comes ahead of the murder trials of 7 people accused of killing a transgender man in Ontario County. Take a look at the numbers in the race for New York City mayor. NBC News projects Democrat Zohran Mamdani to win this one. With 65% precincts reporting, former Governor Andrew Cuomo, who is on the ballot as an independent, has 41%. Republican Curtis Sliwa has 7%, but Mamdani with 51% of the vote. Still waiting for the rest of those precincts to report. Mamdani, by the way, has led nearly every poll for weeks. But last night, President Trump endorsed Cuomo. That's along with an endorsement from current mayor Eric Adams. The Trump administration is threatening to pull all federal funding from the city if Mamdani, in fact, wins this race. Again, NBC News is calling this, saying he has won. We will continue watching. Back here in Rochester, we're keeping a close eye on the race for mayor, and we're starting to see the first numbers coming in now. You can see Malik Evans, our Democrat, with 88% of the vote against conservative Louis Sabo with just 12% of the vote. Evans was first elected in 2021 after a 4-year stint on Rochester City Council. Before that, he was a member of the Rochester School Board. Sabo has never been elected to office before. Let's go back out live to the Hyatt Hotel in downtown Rochester, where Chief Investigative Reporter Berkeley Breen is with the Democratic Party. Now, Burke, we checked in with you at 9. It's now 10. Has the room filled up at all?
Yeah, a little bit, Nikki. It is starting to fill up. And you just mentioned those numbers about the mayor. That's why we've been reporting to you all day that the mayor effectively won this race in the Democratic Party primary back in June. But now with another candidate on the ballot, he goes through the vote today, and the mayor is obviously going to win a second term. But as we can see, the crowd has picked up slightly here inside the ballroom at the Hyatt. The candidates, I believe many of them are, at least party leaders, are behind that removable wall right there, creating a corner in the ballroom. The candidates usually show up right around 10:45. They kind of come up and go up on the dais. When I started covering these elections about 25 years ago, this used to be a huge party. The room would be packed by now, but they're much more scaled back now. Now, the last time the mayor took the stage like this was back when he won the primary in June. And that night, he was very emotional. He told the crowd that he was dealing with death threats against him. And so the mayor and I talked about the impact of that at a coffee shop in downtown Rochester at Parcel 5 just a couple of days ago.
But I will tell you that there's a lot of people that I've tried to convince to run for office, and they don't want anything to do with it.
I don't blame them sometimes.
Yeah.
Does your family ever tell you they wish you didn't do it?
No, my family's been very supportive. It's the only reason why I can do it.
4 years ago, when the mayor took office, the number one priority was gun violence. 4 years ago, we averaged almost 2 homicides for every week. And now 4 years later, we average 1 homicide every 2 weeks. And shootings are down as well. When the mayor took office 4 years ago, we averaged about 8 shootings a week. That's down to 3 shootings a week right now. When he says the number one thing on his agenda when he takes office again for the second term on January 1st will be economic opportunity. So he's talking about jobs, and he's talking about stability for people in their lives in the city.
All right. And Burke, with the numbers we have so far, I do want to mention that's with 57% of precincts reporting. So we still got a lot of numbers to come in. Thank you, Berkeley, live there at the Hyatt. Well, in Rochester, we're also tracking the race for city council. All right, 34% of precincts reporting for this one. We have 5 at-large seats that are up for grabs with 9 candidates on the ballot. Here's a look at the results so far. The race leading at this point is Kiara Smith with 18%, followed by Stanley Martin with 17%, and Mitch Gruber with 16%. Miguel Melendez Jr., the president of City Council, with 15%, LaShunda Leslie Smith with 15%, and Victor Sanchez with 6%. The 3 remaining candidates you see there trailing behind the rest. In the town of Greece, a new town supervisor will be chosen. Voters are choosing between current deputy Monroe County Executive Jeff McCann, a Democrat, and Republican Bill Murphy, who is currently on the Greece Town Board. You can see right now, Jeff McCann, the Democrat here, with 60% of the vote to Bill Murphy's 40%. I'm going to ask my producer if he can let me know how many precincts are reporting in this race. We are checking that right now, so you know how many more votes have to come in for this one. This is with 47% of precincts reporting, so less than half of the votes are in for this one. We'll continue to watch it. We are tracking another pair of town supervisor races in our area. In Pittsford, incumbent Republican Bill Smith Jr. is facing off against challenging Democrat town board member Kathy Koshikar. Smith was first elected as town supervisor in 2013. Koshikar has been on the town board for the last 5 years, and you can see with 47% of precincts reporting, Koshikar is in the lead with 56%. William Smith Jr. trailing with 44% of the vote at this hour. In Irondequoit, only 2 candidates are on the ballot, but incumbent town supervisor Andre Evans is running as a write-in. If you guys can check the number of precincts reporting for this one for me as well. At this point, Andre Evans has 0% of the vote. Leading right now, John Perticone with 72% and Anthony Costanza with 28%. This is with 67% of precincts reporting. News 10 NBC's Tom Kowalski is live at Irondequoit Town Hall. Tom, you heard from voters today. What did they have to say?
Yeah, well, Nikki, of the voters who I spoke with, the majority seem to be in favor of Perticone. And as you can see, or as you just heard, and as you just said there, that seems to be the same stats there. The polls have since closed, obviously, over, what is that? An hour ago, excuse me now. Time is tricky, folks. Now, as of 7 p.m., there was a turnout of about 11,000 people. According to the Monroe County Board of Elections right here, there's about 6,000 votes in so far. So roughly about half, give or take, depending on when the latest update is. Now, let me remind you who these candidates are. They are all running for the town supervisor here in Irondequoit, the 3rd largest town in Monroe County. On the ticket, of course, like you mentioned, there's Democrat John Perticone, who's currently leading in the unofficial poll results, and Republican Anthony Costanza. Incumbent supervisor, like you mentioned, Andre Evans, is running a write-in campaign. Now, Costanza and Evans are both facing separate controversies. Costanza is accused of committing misconduct and violating town code when he allegedly undervalued his house value while working as town assessor. He's pled not guilty to that. Evans is facing allegations of harassment and retaliation against employees, which he has denied. Here's what voters who I spoke with earlier today told me who they voted for and why they voted for that person. Take a listen.
I voted a straight Democratic ticket. He thinks about communities and families. He's not afraid to take hard steps to fill economic voids.
Mm-hmm.
While still making sure that people have their basic needs met.
Anthony Costanza. I just liked his policies that he's standing on. He's just a average Joe. Just wanted to better our community.
Now, again, the latest numbers from the Monroe County Board of Elections have Perticone in the lead at 67%, Costanza at 29%, and a write-in campaign, or just write-ins in general. We don't know specifically how many of those are Andre Evans. Those are just at 3.16%. We'll, of course, keep you updated all throughout the night with the latest numbers as they update here. For now, though, live in Irondequoit, Tom Kowalski, News 10 NBC.
Always interesting to watch as these numbers start to come in. Thank you, Tom. That is all we have for now. For up-to-the-minute results, click on the Decision 2025 banner on WHEC.com. We'll see you back here at 10:30 for live reports and results as they come in. Thanks for watching. Welcome back to our live special coverage of the 2025 general election. It is now 10:30. A lot more results have come in. Let's start with the race for Rochester mayor. Nearly all precincts are now reporting incumbent Democrat Mayor Malik Evans took a huge early lead with 87% of the vote, trailed by conservative Louis Sabo, who has just 12%. We're also tracking the race for Rochester City Council. 5 at-large seats are up for grabs with 9 candidates on the ballot. Here's a look at the results with, 51% of precincts reported. Leading is Kiara Smith, followed by Stanley Martin, Mitch Gruber. We also have Miguel Melendez Jr., LaShunda Leslie Smith. Now that gets us to 5. After that, we have Victor Sanchez and the last 3 candidates there who are trailing far behind the rest. In the town of Greece, a new town supervisor will be chosen. This is between Deputy Monroe County Executive Jeff McCann, a Democrat, and Republican Bill Murphy, who is currently on the Greece Town Board. Now you can see McCann is leading with 60% of the vote. I'm going to have my producer check to see how many precincts have reported in this race. At this point, Bill Murphy has 40%. This is with 97% of precincts reporting, so almost to the full vote count there. News 10 NBC investigative reporter Jennifer Lukey is tracking that race for Greecetown supervisor. She's live at the Hyatt Regency downtown. Jen, the numbers are looking good for Democrats. What's the feeling out there?
Yeah, they certainly are, Nikki. I'm just going to get the most updated numbers from Berkeley here, who is looking at it for me. Jeff McCann is the presumed winner here in this room. A number of people, including Senator Jeremy Cooney, have already sent out congratulatory emails, and I'm actually just looking around the crowd now to make sure that Jeff McCann hasn't already made his way in here. There is a lot of celebration here at Democratic headquarters because a number of their candidates are looking very strong. Many have already won, their opponents conceding. In most major towns in Monroe County, Democrats have either kept or overtaken town leadership roles on both town boards and in supervisor roles. So we believe at this point the numbers are looking very strong for the current Deputy County Executive, Jeff McCann, who will become presumably the next town supervisor in the town of Greece. I'm just looking at the door to make sure he doesn't walk through, because if he does, I'm going to grab him for you. But this has been a contentious race. Jeff McCann has been in politics most of his professional life. He has been a lifelong resident of Greece, and Greece, of course, is the largest suburban town in Monroe County with thousands of voters. It was close for the first maybe half an hour of reporting districts, and then Jeff took quite a lead, and that is what these folks are going to be celebrating likely in the next 20 minutes or so. So, Nikki, I'll send it back to you for now. I'm going to hit the ground and go find Jeff McCann, the presumed new town supervisor in Greece, and we'll be back with you at 11.
Very interesting. He's running as a Democrat, and Bill Rylick, a Republican, has been leading that town for 12 years. Jen, we look forward to your report on News 10 NBC at 11. We're also tracking another pair of town supervisor races in the area in Pittsford. Democrat town board member Kathy Koshikar is behind incumbent Republican Bill Smith Jr. This is actually 100% reporting, my producers tell us. So William Smith Jr., Bill Smith Jr., 52% of the vote. It appears he has retained his seat. In Irondequoit, only 2 candidates are on the ballot, but incumbent town supervisor Andre Evans is running as a write-in. Right now, town board member John Perticone is winning with 70% of the vote. Republican Anthony Costanza with 30%, and this is with 95% of precincts reporting. It appears voters have chosen Republican Jason McBride as the next Ontario County District Attorney. This is with 100% of precincts reporting. He got 77% of the vote compared to incumbent DA Jim Ritz with 23%. This is a race we've been covering for months after McBride upset incumbent DA Ritz in the June primary. McBride was one of his assistant district attorneys. Take a look at the numbers in the race for New York City mayor. NBC News projects Democrat Zohran Mamdani has won this one with 94% precincts reporting. He has 51% of the vote. Andrew Cuomo trailing him at 42%, and Republican Curtis Sliwa has 7%. Mamdani has led nearly every poll for weeks. Last night, President Trump endorsed Cuomo. That's along with an endorsement from current Mayor Eric Adams. Now, the Trump administration is threatening to pull all federal funding from the city if Mamdani actually wins this one. So we'll be closely watching. No more than 2 million people voted in that race for New York City mayor, by the way. That's all we have for now. For up-to-the-minute results, click on the Decision 2025 banner right on our website, WHEC.com, and we hope to see you back here for News 10 NBC at 11. Thanks for watching.